Hi, everybody. I am Jenna Jackson. I am probably a familiar face, and if not, I am the Vice President of Business Development for the association, and I am happy to welcome one of our newer staff members and colleagues. So last December, we welcomed our newest team member, Eric Cook, as Vice President of Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs. So we wanted to make sure that our members knew who Eric is. And what he does and how he can be helpful to you. So, Eric, why don't you tell our members a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Jenna. Long story short, I'm a native Wisconsinite, grew up in the Fox Valley area and have been here ever since. Prior to joining the organization, I spent just over 13 years working in the state capitol for a couple different legislators, running those offices and working on issues from childcare, utilities, transportation, and everything in between. Lots of random statutory facts in the back of my brain from all those years working in the Capitol. But another thing that I used to do is work with constituents and work with state agencies to address issues that came up for the representatives' constituents to help them, through the process in dealing with state agencies and addressing those complaints and concerns.
Well, thank you for that background. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about your role within the association?
Sure. So, I'm in charge of legislative relations. So that means, I'm the one working with legislators, communicating with them, setting up meetings for both education and to lobby on bills on our behalf, explain our position and why we feel that way, testifying on bills, and generally just advocating for our members with legislators in the Capitol and, even outside at meetings as well. And then the second part is really regulatory. So that's working with agency officials at DHS primarily, sometimes DISPIS on licensing if issues come up, but, sharing issues that affect our members, weighing in with them as they're considering regulation changes or rule changes, and, just really making sure that folks in Madison know what they're doing, how it impacts our members, and making sure they know who to contact and how to get a hold of us so that we can weigh in and be at the table.
Thank you. We talk about advocacy and how important that is. So, what can our members do to help us at the association level and you be successful when we are advocating on their behalf?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the first thing really is kind of on the regulatory side is that if folks are having issues, whether, you're not getting a response back from someone at a department or you disagree with something that's happened, reach out to me, reach out to Rick, but really I'm the main contact person. So reach out to me and let me know what's going on. And I will work those issues up the chain. We might not always get the result we want, but my end goal is to at least get an answer more quickly and to make sure that folks at the departments know, like, this is on our radar, we're working on it, we want you to be responsive. And so be sure to call me, email. My contact info is on the website. You can always call me 920-915-4726. That's my cell. So just give me a ring and I explain what's going on, and I'm happy to help out. On the legislative side, it's more about relationship building, where members can be helpful. We have a lot of new legislators. We need folks to know who their providers are in their district. So the best thing our members can do is to have the legislators out and visit their facilities. Come on out bring them in for a tour, show them around, meet people, and explain who you are, what you do, and why it's important to the state and to their district.
And that's a really good point. And I think it's good for our members to understand why these legislative visits and tours are so important. So, could you please elaborate that on a little bit more?
Yeah, so there's kind of two things. Now, firstly, just right now, it's important because a quarter of the legislature turned over last session. So, starting in January, 25% of the 132 legislators have never served in the Capitol before. They're brand new. They're getting their feet under themselves, learning issues, learning the process. But so they aren't very familiar probably with most of our issues and what it really means to work in long-term care. They come from all different backgrounds, business, education, everything under the sun, but none of them are nursing home administrators. I can tell you that much. So right now, that's really important. And then secondly is just always going to be the case. Legislators have so many different policy items they need to focus on. They work on it, depends on their personal interests, the committees they serve on, maybe their big issues facing the community. But long-term care isn't always necessarily on their radar, and they don't all have time to learn about everything in depth on their own. So that's why we're here to help educate them and to develop those relationships with providers and our members in their districts. And so like one of the real end goals is to develop that relationship that you have with your legislator, so that they know, if they see a bill come up, it's about nursing homes or assisted living, they go, oh yeah, John, I'll call John. I visited his facility, 2 months ago. What does he have to say? And that's what we want. We want them reaching out to us, whether it's you or whether it's me, so that we can give our side, our view on the issue and educate them on why something is good or maybe not so good. Because we want to be a resource and be there and be trusted and develop those positive relationships with those lawmakers.
And what can our members expect from one of these visits or tours?
Yeah, thanks. They're pretty straightforward. I'm actually working on a document to kind of go through step by step how to do it. But, folks can reach out to legislators directly, or they can go through me, and I'm happy to help facilitate setting those tours up. But, generally it's 45 minutes to an hour, maybe a little bit more. They come in and visit. They always like taking pictures and putting things on social media. Legislators love to be out and about and be seen out and about in the community in their district. And you have an opportunity to sit down with them, maybe explain some of the history of the facility, how long you've owned it, how long you've been in operation, those kinds of things. And then, show them around. Lots of folks just haven't been in nursing homes, in assisted living facilities, unless they have a personal connection. So this is creating that personal connection, and show them around, have them meet some of the staff, have them meet a couple residents, show them the place, what you're doing. I know a lot of our members have older facilities and are very creative in making them, feel like home and work still in the 21st century. And so show them how you're being creative and show them how, what you do is important to their constituents, to the community. And then, kind of dovetailing is how their work in Madison impacts you. So, a lot of our members are at around 66% of your residents are Medicaid patients, and that's paid for by the state. And those funding decisions happen in Madison. So, explain to them like, yeah, if we don't fund Medicaid reimbursement, here's what it means to us. Our folks rely on it. That's what keeps them here. That money helps us keep the facility and give the services they need and keeps this community whole. And so, really explaining that and how things are working. And, I always like to, start with a thank you and share some good things as well as some challenges, and make sure that you develop that relationship with them, and they enjoy the visit.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that our members should know about when to contact you with concerns or questions?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, basically, if you've got an issue with DHS, with the department, or DISPUS or any other state agency, if there's an issue that comes up, don't hesitate to reach out. Give me a call, send me an email. We can always set up a time to chat and get more details. But I'm here to advocate on your behalf, to bug the department on your behalf, save you some time, help ease your burden a little bit. I know, our members, our providers have probably better things to be doing than to be calling and emailing folks at DQA over and over again. So, I'm happy to be here, help, relieve that burden, help advocate for you and make sure we get answers, whether positive or negative, in as timely of a fashion as possible.
And that's such a great reminder because as part of being a member of this association is you get us and we're here to help and we're here to serve and we want to make sure that you have all of the resources available. So I will make sure in this video that you have Eric's contact information and email. You can also find it on our website. And please reach out to Eric if you have any government regulatory advocacy, survey, etc. questions. So thank you, Eric, for joining us. It was great. And I hope, members, that you reach out to him with your questions and concerns.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna, and thanks, folks. Hope to hear from you soon. Well, in a positive way, not a negative one, but if it's a negative situation, I'm here to help and look forwarding to bug the department on your behalf.